अरे वाह, इतना बड़ा डिस्काउंट।
Really? How come?
वो ओनर फैन है ना मेरा, so
I'm impressed.
So, hope you like the meal and the discount you got with Swiggy Dine Out.
Go out and dine at the finest restaurants and save up to 40% on your bills. Only with Swiggy Dine Out.
Hello and welcome to a World Cup special with my friend Marcus Stoinis. You know, we'll all be scared. We'll all be worried when India takes field. Marcus and their team. Quality side. Quality side, we know what they can do. We've seen what happened at the WTC final, and India-Australia is always a very famed rivalry. Marcus, welcome to the show. Very good side. You've played in India, fantastic IPL, 480 runs with 174 strike rate. Clearly, you were on song. Tell me a little bit about the World Cup. How are you looking at it, at the opportunity of playing in India again for Australia, a very good quality team?
Hey, Boria. Nice. Thanks for having me. That's a nice introduction. It's obviously an exciting time for us international cricketers with a World Cup coming up in India, which for a lot of us is now becoming second home. Like you said, a lot of IPL cricket over the years. I think I'm coming up to my 8th IPL season. And yeah, so we're coming up to this World Cup, which a lot of us have been looking forward to. And it's also, I think, around the world in cricket, there's teams, it seems, have been placing their side, getting ready for this World Cup for a long time. There's quite a few of the older heads around that it seems to be like they've been pushing to get to this World Cup and make this a good one. So hopefully for us Australian boys, we're celebrating on the last day.
India versus Australia is the first game for India. I mean, that is something that each one of us, how does that sort of, playing one of these key matches at the start, forget the result, is it sort of, good for you? I mean, when you as a player think about it, obviously India is one of the favorites, Australia one of the favorites. So two top teams, how do you set a matchup like this?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can set the tone for your tournament, I guess. And leading into the tournament, we've also got a tour to India where we play 3 ODIs as well. So the teams will know each other well. And being the first game, one of the first games of the tournament, playing each other early in that tournament, it'll be a good chance for both sides to really set the tone. And I think it's a long World Cup. There's 9 round games, I think. So getting a few big wins early could be, obviously the way everyone wants to start.
Marcus, you've played in the IPL across conditions, right? Lucknow, a wicket that turned quite a bit. Chennai. Does that help? Can you tell me a little bit IPL experience playing all across India, getting used to these wickets, getting used to these conditions? Does that sort of demystify Indian conditions for you guys a little bit and makes it easier for a tournament like the World Cup?
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think guys like myself, Glenn Maxwell, Mitchy Marsh, over the last few years, David Warner, have played quite a lot of IPL now. And in a World Cup where the pressure's going to be on, it's going to be a high pressure environment where obviously, there's going to be times where players need to stand up. And I think for having that experience in the IPL, having understanding of the conditions, having an understanding of not only Indian conditions, but the different grounds. Like you said, we had this year in IPL, we had quite a few different wickets throughout the tournament. So I think for me personally, that's definitely, I'm hoping, going to play an advantage to me.
And for you, I mean, a senior cricketer now, someone the team will look forward to both as a batter and as a bowler, so as a key all-rounder. How do you handle pressure? Pressure of expectations, the expectations that you set for yourself as a proud athlete. How do you deal with the World Cup?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. Look, I think I'm at a stage of my career where the expectation or the pressure is more excitement to me now. I look forward to the World Cups, which we've been lucky to have. 3 in the last 3 years, I guess, and another T20 World Cup. So I look forward to these World Cups, and I look forward to the IPL every year. And I think it is because of that pressure and what that brings out of me and how alive you feel and the chance and the opportunity, I guess, to do something great and either to help your team win a tournament, stand up in big moments. I think that's really where my mindset's at the moment is seeing these as opportunities. But I definitely understand that there's pressure. I guess I'm just fortunate enough to see it in the right way at the moment.
Australian players, including yourself, are huge stars in India. I mean, among Indian fans, you guys are really loved. Now there is that cultural divide has gone. How do you look at Indian fandom? I mean, cricket in India, you played the IPL, as you repeatedly said. How do you look at fans? Because there is now so much affection, respect, admiration for Australian cricketers.
Yeah, there is. We're really lucky. And like you said, that affection and respect and admiration, I think there's no fans in the cricket world like the Indian fans. I think, there's passionate fans. Obviously, in Australia, we're very lucky. And we just watched the Ashes where there's passionate English fans as well. But to be honest, the respect for that we feel as foreigners coming to play cricket in India, even though obviously it's loud and there's either the MS Dhoni chants or the Virat Kohli chants going on. But the respect and the love of cricket is super obvious. It's obviously, as everyone knows. So, look, it means this World Cup's going to be very special because every game is going to be passionately supported no matter who's playing.
Marcus, now you mentioned Virat Kohli. How good is he? I mean, we keep decoding Virat Kohli. We talked about his lean patch. We talked about everything. Maybe it's his 50 overs. This is his last 50 over World Cup. As a colleague, as a competitor, as someone who's played with the guy, can you decode Virat Kohli for me? How good is he?
Look, I think if you ask anyone, his skills are as good as we've seen, probably throughout the history of cricket, But what sets him apart for me is his ability to bring that energy and that passion to absolutely every game of cricket. He's figured out what his best version is in terms of performance, and it seems like he can channel that and bring that energy every single game. And yes, at times that might mean it's picking a fight or getting the crowd on his side, but it's very clear to me that he understands himself. He understands what his best version is, and he's amazing at getting himself into that mindset every game. So, look, that's a special skill that I don't think many can do. We all work to that. But yeah, that's something that I see in him that I definitely admire.
A word on Pat Cummins as captain, that you played with him, seen him from close quarters. I, for example, have a lot of respect for Pat Cummins. I mean, to be able to last an Ashes series, start with the WTC final, long season. Before that, not the greatest personal, with family issues, not the best time, but coming through all of it, he's sort of commanded a lot of respect from each one of us. Your thoughts on Pat Cummins, the captain?
Absolutely. I think you just summed it up perfectly. Like when you think of not only cricket, but how much he's been through over the last year and a half or so, new to the captaincy role, plus a bowler, keeping himself fit, keeping himself on the park, performing like he has to his high standards, and also work again with a new coach since he took over as well. And you can't help but respect him with how calm he is, the environment he creates for the team, the support you feel as a player in his team as well. So he's a very impressive guy. I think Australian cricket's very lucky to have a captain like that. So he's definitely we're definitely proud of him as a playing group, and we're proud to play for him as well. So I think he's very impressive, and like you said, he's earned a lot of respect over this last little bit.
Similarly on Steve Smith, Marcus, because it'll again be between Steve Smith and Virat Kohli and Joe Root, and if Kane Williamson is fit, of course, Babar Azam has been added to that group. Some of the stalwarts of our generation in that sense, leading the batting brigade. So a lot of talk will be about Steve Smith. You've played with him. You play with him on a daily basis. How is he so good? What is his drill like? Just give me an insider's view.
Yeah, I think again, you like I was saying at the start, it seems like there's these old stalwarts of our generation of cricket with the bat that are all sort of it's coming to the climax of one day cricket and a one day World Cup in India. And then as for Smithy, I've played with him since we played under 19s Australian cricket together. So we toured there, then we've toured with Australia. We've played in the same IPL teams. Very similar to Virat in terms of his way of bringing the best version of himself to each contest and to each day of cricket. Like you've heard the stories about him not sleeping. He's just infatuated with the game. He's infatuated with getting better, with improving his concentration, with so he's a true professional, obviously. And I personally think I'm excited. He's in this upcoming tournament. He's going to be opening the batting in T20 cricket as well. I think this new aggressive Stephen Smith in white ball cricket, he's improving every series, and so I'm excited to watch him in this series and come this World Cup. I think, as we all expect, but he's going to be a dominant player.
I've asked you this, but I just want to sort of push you a little bit more. I mean, come a crunch situation, in your case, people look at you as a finisher. Key game, last 10, 15 overs, coming into bat, trying to finish a game for a team, or even with the ball. This whole art of finishing. You've mentioned this to me before in the past, that you had a chat with Ricky Ponting, you had a chat with Mahendra Singh Dhoni. How do you look at this role? I mean, it's a specialized job, and it takes a special mindset to be able to close games out with all that pressure. Do you sort of visualize, how does Marcus Stoinis make himself a special finisher?
I think it goes back to how we spoke about at the start, about the pressure of situations and the big games, as we sort of say. And I've, through these conversations, like you said, with Ricky Ponting, with MS, with coaches I've had through the past, I think at the point I'm in now, I see these as more opportunities to see my team home. The excitement of and the responsibility are opportunities for me to do what I've always dreamed of doing. There's definitely has been stages where I felt that pressure and almost could have got what went into my shell or made rash decisions. But I do feel like I enjoy the responsibility, and that's why we play the game. I'm 34 now. I've been playing for a long time. I want to bat in any situation that the team needs me to bat. I want to bowl whenever the team needs me to bowl, and I want to field wherever the ball's going, sort of thing. So I think that optimistic mindset, as well as then very structured pre-game routines and between ball routines, help me to stay in the best mindset and calmest zone that I can to achieve what I want to achieve. Visualization's a massive part of that. I mean, without going too far into it, I'll spend 30 minutes to an hour before most games visualizing where I want to score, the bowlers we're going to face, how my pre-game routine is going to be, what I'm going to do when I get to the ground, where the scoreboard is, where the short boundary is, where my teammates are sitting. So you try and make the ground as familiar as you can, make it as if it's your home, and then see the opportunities to win the game for your country and for your team. Fascinating.
And how do you deal with adversity? Because in sport, you will lose more. That is only a given. That you will lose quite a few games which maybe you could have won, or things will not go your way. You'll get a bad decision, a bad umpiring call, something might go against you. How do you deal with adversity?
Yeah, again, a very good question. And typically as sportsmen, as we grow up, the young kids, when they get out, no one likes it. You obviously often see some tears and all that sort of stuff. And I was no different. Dealing with adversity, I think, again, the way I've started to see it is it's a privilege. I mean, we often get criticised in the media or social media and this sort of stuff. And don't worry, no one feels as bad as us when we lose a game or when we feel that we haven't performed as well as we can. But again, I'm lucky that I've somehow got the optimism in my mind that I believe I can do it, and I believe I can do it whether it's the next time. I've got quite a structured debrief process that I'll take myself through, which is aimed at taking the emotion out of the game and helping me find some answers that I want to implement for the next game. And I think having a structured pre-game routine also allows me to reflect on that to see if I did truly stick to what I said I was going to do, if I did truly stick to the visualization, how I thought I was going to play, and did I adapt to the conditions, all that sort of stuff. So having a nice reflective process, I think, helps me with that. But there's definitely, I mean, if I could verbalize the things that you go on in your own mind and in your own body, you go back to the primitive ages of being like a young kid playing their first game of cricket. So, but I think that structure and the optimism that I'm lucky to have, I don't know where it came from, my family, I guess, my old man and my mum. That optimism and the love of cricket just means that you really just never have the thought of giving up. You just keep going.
Lovely answer again. Lovely answer again. Last few questions. One, you've seen the conditions, you know the conditions. I mean, how important do you think speed will be? Because when I look at Adam Zampa, I don't think that fellow gets the credit that he deserves. We should celebrate Adam Zampa far more. When I look at a Kuldeep Yadav, when I look at some of these spinners going across the world, and there are some quality bowlers in some of these teams. Thoughts on how important spin will be?
Absolutely. I think, I mean, outside that new ball and taking early wickets, I think all teams throughout this World Cup are going to be turning to their frontline spinners to take the wickets and to attack. And like you said, I agree with you with in terms of Adam Zampa. Obviously, he's one of my closest mates, but time and time again now, he's played a lot of games for Australia, but he also takes a lot of wickets, and he takes big wickets. I don't want to say names before the tournament, but I know he does take a lot of the big players that we've mentioned before. Yes, he takes big wickets in these big games. So he's going to be very important for us. Obviously, we're going to turn to him, and he's only got his 10 overs, but we're going to turn to him, and he's going to be looking to take wickets. And then as well, on the opposite side with the bat, there's a lot of good spinners all around the world, and the key is in white ball cricket, you need to score as well. You need to put them under pressure. So, and that's hopefully where guys like myself and Maxi batting in that middle order and playing a lot of IPL cricket are going to be in a good space to deal with that and to put the pressure back on the other team and make them rotate their bowlers and, try and get the game on our terms.
In fact, those were the last two. One on Maxwell particularly. I mean, all of us know he has a lot of talent, but this time during the IPL, the way he turned up, in your case, you for LSG and Maxwell for RCB, along with maybe a Faf du Plessis, was incredible to see. I mean, turning it on from ball one, playing some of those majestic innings, how important, plus his off spin. I see you, I see Cameron Green, I see Glenn Maxwell, and I see the number of all-round ability, people with all-round ability that Australia has, which makes them the favourite according to me. Do you agree with the favourite tag, or you say, no, that's not important, even if we are underdogs, that's better? Because this whole thing about Australia, certainly favourites, how do you react to that?
Yeah, look, I don't think personally we don't really take too much into the favourites and all that sort of stuff, because as players we're well aware that how good the teams are that we're coming up against, and you do just end up going into quite a bubble. Your team goes into a bubble and you focus on what you do and bringing the best versions of yourself to those games. But but obviously on the same note, I'm backing our team, and I do agree with you. We've got a lot of strengths in our team. We've got a lot of depth. We've got a lot of options, batting lineup wise and bowling wise as well. We've got Zampa as our leg spinner. We've got Ashton Agar as well as our second spinner, and we can get overs through Maxi and Heady, you know. So it's an exciting place to be. Yes, I do think we've got a very good team, but I know how many good teams there are, and yeah, I don't think there's ever a favourite really that's too clear in these World Cups. But early on, there's some big games, and hopefully, you know, we can put ourselves in the best spot to make a big push.
Last one. I mean, you know, when I look at the bowlers, and I'm coming from the Ashes, for example, we've seen what a Mitchell Starc can do, whether it's a Mitchell Starc or a Shaheen Afridi. You know, these guys running in, left arm, getting the ball to move in. Rohit Sharma recently spoke in an ICC interview saying, moving the ball at pace, these guys, they are lethal. And when I look at them, or a Jasprit Bumrah coming back to the Indian fold, however much the tracks might be batting friendly or spin friendly, these kind of fast bowlers, and Australia has a Cummins, a Mitchell Starc, a Hazelwood. It's just brilliant to see them, especially Starc and an Afridi at the top of the order against the likes of Rohit Sharma or a Shubman Gill. Sets it up. Thoughts on these guys?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Mitchell Starc's record, he over a long time now, he keeps breaking all the records in white ball cricket for Australia. And I think as a fan of cricket, seeing a big left arm Shaheen or Mitch Starc running in with a brand new ball first over of the game, and you know it's going to be an in-swinger, you know it's coming for the stumps or the toes. You know, even as a player, you know you're in for a contest. You know you're definitely alive, and you know you got to be on. You know, so I think it's. I mean, I even remember watching the Mitchell Starc knock over Brendan McCullum in the World Cup all those years ago. You know, so they're just moments that, as sports lovers, whether you're playing or you're a spectator, you just remember them and they stick in your mind. So on that note, hopefully a lot of good memories for us to watch Mitchell Starc swing them down the line and take some toes and some stumps out of the ground.
I'll leave it at that, Marcus. All I will say is go well, because you entertained us all. We know how talented you are. No, I don't need to say that. I mean, 480 odd runs for the Lucknow team. You were the central mainstay. So we know what you can do with both bat and ball. Don't go so well against India. Do it against every other team. Everything else is acceptable. But may the best team win. Hopefully it will be an India-Australia final and we will be able to speak to each other again. But go very well, mate, during the World Cup.
Thanks, absolutely. I like the sound of that at India-Australia final. That'll be beautiful.
Thank you very much for your time.